All right, we are on our way to the Cosby Campground. Actually, we're almost there. It has been an interesting trip. Leaving at 3:45 in the morning, thinking that I got everything, and then finding out along the way that there are a few surprises. First and foremost, my gimbal is sitting on
A stack of pots and pans at home.
So, this entire 18 or so miles is going to be entirely handheld and shaky. So, let me apologize now. Also, flat tire.
That happened on the I-40 West, heading out of Asheville in the mountains.
So, there goes my right at dawn, starting out on the trail. But let's count some blessings here. It could have been worse. No damage to the rim. Have a full-size tire, so I'm thankful for that. And I still have the ability to record even without the gimbal, so I'm thankful for that. We are just pulling in to the Cosby Campground.
I am continuing my mission to hike all the trails in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. These are the trails I've hiked so far. This time, I chose to do a loop from the Cosby Campground. I headed west over Snake Den Ridge Trail, gaining about 3,500 feet over 4.7 miles. Right onto Maddron Bald Trail, descending about 3,600 feet over 6.4 miles. Then I turned right onto Gabes Mtn Trail for about 1.8 miles to reach campsite 34. The next day, I continued 2.7 miles on Gabes Mtn Trail, taking a brief 0.3-mile round trip to Hen Wallow Falls, before hiking the remaining 2.4 miles back to my car.
We are here at the Elkmont Campground. I took quite a while, about half an hour.
At Cosby Campground. At this point, I'm apologizing for some of the setbacks, like forgetting the gimbal, and I'm apologizing profusely for that right here.
May as well get at it. It's 9 o'clock. 12 and a half miles to go. Well, just still leaving the campground. Got a couple people I met them. They were needing some information, so I tried to look it up for them. I have got a lot of hiking to do. So I'm going to be trying to cut across the campground. Sorry, I'll try and steady it up here. Going to cut across the campground, hopefully save myself a few dozen yards maybe. Every little bit counts. It's about 6 degrees Celsius, so I am looking forward to warming up just a little bit on the trail. Should be good though. Unlike the last winter hike, where it went down to 10 degrees, this one shouldn't go down to about maybe 30 degrees. So that shouldn't be bad. And unlike last time, this time I have down booties that will keep the feet warm. I have some little hot hands packs, only for feet, and a lightweight down jacket. So should be a little bit better prepared. There is no bad day in the Smokies, not really. This is actually going to be a fun route. The Snake Den Ridge Trail. I'm gaining 4,000 feet or something like that. It's going to be challenging. 4.5 miles here. Most of my elevation will be taken care of by that point for the whole hike. After that, it's just the undulating stuff. Now, what's interesting is, if you enjoy watching backpacking videos, you're probably familiar with the Adventure Archives, who do a phenomenal job. It is very professionally done. In fact, that's part of the inspiration I have for wanting to upgrade my equipment. All this is off my phone, which beats 1080p, but I would love to get the really nice 4K equipment to something lighter.
Something that could actually do justice to the beauty of the Smoky Mountains.
This route that I'm doing, the Snake Den Ridge Trail is actually one of the routes that they did when they did a Smokies hike. So I'm looking forward to see some of the same landmarks that they had on that hike. A beautiful area here. Crisp, clear day, about 6 degrees Celsius, I think I mentioned. Unlike previous hikes, at least I got about 6 hours sleep before driving. So a little more energy than I normally have. And that's good. I normally don't do over 10 miles on my first day of hiking. But I'm running out of places I can go and do a short loop and end up at my car. So I'm starting to have to do longer loops. Good reason to get in shape, isn't it? Okay, we're coming to our first landmark. This is where we hit the trail proper. We're finally out of reach of the camp. So, onward we go. Oh, that's right, they're doing some maintenance up here, it looks like. The Park Service is. Wonder if I could ask him for a ride. I mentioned that 2015 Adventure Archives video about the Smokies. If you've not seen it, it's one of the earlier ones, but it's quite good. And I can remember some of the scenes in there where he stops off and looks at various locations. And I've just come to one of them. This is the graveyard. This is the one for this particular local area. You can see some of the people who are buried here. And many others are just marked with stones without information. The ones that pull at your heart especially list infants that born and died the same day. Okay, looks like we come to our next intersection. We're still on the outskirts of the intersecting trails that come to Cosby. There we go. Just instead of 4.7, now it's 3.9. So, made a little progress. Just a lot more to go, and we're there. Ah, but look at the pretty, pretty mountains. Okay, just met some people from Trout Unlimited who are volunteering in the park here doing water quality samples, which is always a wonderful thing to do, to give back. So it's nice to hear about others who are also enthralled with this beautiful resource that we've got. And we're coming up on a crossing here, so I'm going to show you a little bit what we're looking at. And you're going to see, we'll do some more of the stream. We have some wonderful partridge berry along the moss there. We've got Christmas ferns, even, well, as the name would imply, in this season here. Oh, we have even more ferns. Oh, aren't they beautiful? Sorry for the
Shaky camera.
unbelievable.
It is at times like this that I especially miss the gimbal.
This is a bit slippery, so I might not keep the image level.
But shaky or not, that trio of waterfalls is still beautiful.
That is beautiful. Oh, look at that. We have some of the blue fungus that stains the wood. Blanking on the name, so I'll narrate that in just a moment. But it is really pretty.
Even though it's winter, it still surprised me how much greenery there was.
Wow. Just look at that. There's one thing you can count on hiking in the Smokies, It's the fact that odds are you're going to have a stream tumbling and cascading down beside the trail. Still on Snaked-In Ridge Trail as we are actually approaching the ridge. Within the next mile, I think, we will be up there. Just look at that view. And here's a closer view. We got some beautiful, luscious green leaves. I am blanking on the species. It's a parallel vein monocot, but you can know there's going to be a lot of flowers in the spring. I'm finally starting to get to where I have a little altitude.
I am so sorry. The video is so shaky right here, even Premiere's stabilization couldn't help it that much.
With increased altitude, there comes some nice benefits. And right here, you can see we have some nice views. You can actually see out a bit into those aptly named Smoky Mountains. Wow, just curved around to the far side of the hill in the shade. Let me tell you, there's a difference. It suddenly felt like it dropped 15 degrees. Maybe 20, I don't know. But it is decidedly colder here. I was still a little warm, starting to sweat, even when I'm just down to my underlayer in this. All of a sudden, I'm not too hot anymore. Amazing how that works, isn't it? Not sure of the species, but I think it's some variety of wood ear fungus or something of that nature. You can't find a better place than the Smoky Mountains if you want to find the fun guy. Here we come up on another stream crossing. That is beautiful, isn't it? Now this is going to be fun, getting across without taking a 33-degree bath.
Well, it sure looked like it was 33-degree Fahrenheit water.
Uh-huh. Okay, I'm sorry that I did not record the crossing, but it was a little more tricky than I thought. I was unwilling to risk plunging knee or thigh deep in the water trying to make it across. So I tried something a little more secure, but it was a little difficult. As you can see, that's not too bad until you get to here. That's enough of a jump, and that's a little slippery, so I didn't want to trust the footing. So instead, I went up and over up there at this, right here in the center, right at this part, right to this edge, grabbed some tree branches, and was able to hold myself onto the other rock and get across with greater certainty of not getting wet. Boy, it was like extreme bushwhacking to get through that tangle. So, onward and upward, probably for another, maybe mile. I hope I'm getting close.
It was odd how every time I thought I was getting near the top, I would see another uphill when I turned the corner. Okay, folks, brace yourself. At this point, I've just discovered yet another self-imposed setback, and I'm feeling a little frustrated with myself. So bear with me for a moment while I have a brief pity party before realizing, how bad can it really be? I'm in the Smoky Mountains.
I know this looks a little funny, but I have no gimbal to use with my phone. I have no chest pack. That was left on the hood of my car. In that chest pack were my cables
for my lithium-ion battery, so I have no way to charge up my phone or anything else. So, the rest of this hike, what recording I am going to do is going to be with my 5D Mark III in 1080p. You know what? I'm still in the Smokies, and that's still a wonderful thing. While I was unhappy about the gimbal, it didn't detract from the beauty of the trail. I loved seeing the bright patches of snow amongst the light and shadows of the forest floor.
Looks like we got
Hoof fungus, if I've identified this correctly. You could see how it got its name.
Oh, it looks like we have some last year's blooms from Galex. Hopefully we'll reach Snake Den Ridge at some point here.
As you can see, the cold and frost coming out of the ground there makes a beautiful pattern. The patches of snow and the bright green of the rhododendron look very pretty against the dark shadows. Here we have a beautiful eastern hemlock. I've heard from some of the experts that the hemlocks further along on the Gabe Mtn Trail represent some of the best low-elevation hemlock forests still remaining in the park. Every so often, I'd see some rain or melted snow that froze along the trail.
As you can see, we have reached the crossroads, Maddron Bald. That's the one that's going to cut us around over to
Gabes Mtn Trail.
6 miles later. So, time to keep on keeping on. By the way, I do believe we are at our maximum elevation for the hike here. Beautiful example of a spruce-fir forest, since we're well over 5,000.
As you can see, some of the segments were so shaky that when I stabilized it with Premiere, it ended up causing some warping. Man, I hate that. As I got higher in elevation, I got to see more patches of snow. And of course, got some very interesting lighting on the trail. Finally, I got high enough that I started to see some of the not only hemlocks, but into the spruce fir.
Okay, now that we're heading downhill, you're probably going to see a little more recording, since I can draw a breath. I can actually hear myself think. Beautiful. Mountain laurel, always pretty.
Somewhere around the 5,000 mark, I came onto what I believe is called a Heath Bald. You can see how the plants are shorter and wind-blown. It has a very unique character. Very pretty. One of the things I always love is the rock outcroppings and the pattern of light and dark on the trail as the light filters through the trees. Always love the moss-covered logs that almost look like they come alive.
Just now coming to the first campsite on Snake Den Ridge here. Campsite 29. I believe this is the one that Andrew stayed at on that Adventure Archives trip I mentioned. I think I'm going to stop here and eat a quick lunch.
I love moss. It's just such a beautiful, soft, pretty color. I'm sorry. I didn't take the time to make sure that I would be in focus or fully in the frame. I was that tired and in a hurry. But it was sure nice to be able to sit down and get a little food back in the system and enjoy such beautiful scenery.
Heading on, campsite 34, if we can make it across this without getting wet. Fortunately, I have Gore-Tex boots, Oh boy, that ought to be fun. But it is pretty. Okay, I did make that across without getting wet.
I love the darker, richer colors that come with lower light levels. Of course, I always love the fungi.
I didn't film the last two water crossings, but I thought you might want to see this one. It is kind of pretty. And then on up above. Well, thankfully another success. With a walking stick, I made it over this route.
That was a lot harder than it looked, and unfortunately, it's so cropped due to the stabilization that I had to apply that you can't see but about 60%. But it was a bit of a sketchy crossing.
Wow, it's pretty.
I can't help it. I love soft flowing water shots.
That was a deep crossing, deep and fast. And where it wasn't deep, very slippery. I make a route around there and jump the last bit. Gorgeous. That's the one I've been looking for. There we are. All bright.
This is along the Maddron Bald Trail where it has the Albright Trail. Again, I had to do so much cropping for the stabilization that you couldn't see the whole sign, so I stuck in some still photos here.
Okay, we're about 1.6 miles from Gabes Mountain, and finally they have given us a bridge. This is really pretty. Just a little bit open understory here. We're probably about 1.4 to 1.3 miles from the Gabe Mtn Trail. Still on, believe the Maddron. Let's see what we got. Oh. Old Settlers Trail, huh? They're still on Maddron Bald. Old Settlers Trail going down that way. That's going that direction is the continuation of Maddron Bald. And if I go all the way behind us, this is Maddron Bald that we came down from. And hidden over here in the low light, look at that. That's the one I want, Gabe Mtn Trail. So a little bit of hiking in the dark. Well, as you can see, I am and have been for the past 45 minutes, an hour hiking in the dark. However, I see campfires. I'm going to be in camp soon.
As you'll hear me explain in a moment, I got in really late after dark. Fortunately, the guys who were already there at the campsite were really some nice people. They had me come on over to the campfire and we talked, and it was so nice just to come in and sit down to an already set up campfire. Really great group of guys. I'm trying to talk really soft, since there are the other two guys that are still asleep in their tents and I didn't want to bother them. But I'm talking so soft that you can't hear me over the background noise. But I'm explaining that I couldn't sleep any longer and got up early and got things going. Here I'm just talking about my breakfast setup, getting a hot drink going so I can enjoy that with my leftover patty sandwich. It sounds almost cliche, but in a setting like this, with the velvety moss draping gently over the logs and rocks, the water as it tumbles, bounces, and pools, it envelops you with a peace where your soul can breathe.
Well, man, I sure missed that gimbal. Really fortunate. Met a couple of really great guys. As I don't know if I mentioned it before or not. There were two people up here in this whole campsite, they and me. Really hospitable, nice guys from Nashville. I got in late, about an hour and a half after dark, and they already had a fire going. They had me come on over, join the group. You know, it was just really nice people, and it's really a pretty, very pretty little campsite here. It only got down to about 11 or 11.3 or something Celsius. I need to switch over to Fahrenheit, but I haven't done that. For my thermometer, but not bad, not bad. I actually had the down booties with me, but didn't use them. It was right on the border. It was okay, but it was warm enough that I didn't have to. That it is a gorgeous day. I should mention that that little chest pack that I forgot on my car not only had my Black Diamond really nice headlamp, it had all my patch cables, so I'm not able to recharge this phone, which means that's why almost everything afternoon was shot with my camera yesterday. It had all the goo gels, the energy bars, permit and all that, so oh well, I will learn to rigorously follow a checklist before I leave the car next time. Here's a look at some of the beautiful scenery right here on the edge of your campsite. Here is the rest of the campsite. I already taken down the rainfly. You can see the common area there where we have the fire pit and all that. Some places for a few tents and some more places there along the side up there. Then your cables, they've got a set of cables.
Some sections of the trail were a little more challenging, while others were much less so and just beautifully picturesque. I never get tired, of course, of seeing the fern and moss-covered logs.
Yet another crossing. This one's a nice, easy one. You got Gore-Tex, you can just tromp right through it and not care. Late enough in the day that the sun's really coming through. You can see the distinct patches of sunlight and shadow. Nice and bright. And not on the video here, but with the naked eye you can see the mountains through there a lot better. It's always nice when you get to a section where it opens up a little brighter. Makes a nice contrast. The fog is just blown in, and oh, it makes it look eerie and mystical. Oh, it's pretty. Very, very pretty. How aptly named are the Smokies. If there's one thing you can rely on the Smokies, it is there's water everywhere. Oh, it's so pretty. Still some fog, but this is where the trail ends. No, it just makes a sharp left, looks like. The trail goes right. Okay. Okay. The trail here opens up a little bit to some down the hill areas where I'm assuming it gets near a drop off or something. But when I first saw this sign, I got to thinking, you know what? That's not bad advice at any time. Now there's a cool sight, but at the same time, look what we see over here. Pretty, pretty, pretty. Okay, on we go.
A little over 2 miles from the Cosby Campground, and I saw the sign, so I went on down to see Hen Wallow Falls, as you will see.
Okay, that sign we just saw a little bit ago that said warning, close controlled children, like this one. I said it led down to something with a drop off. This is the drop off it led down to. This is Hen Wallow Falls. I'll get the name on that later. But it is truly pretty, pretty, pretty. It was worth the extra 1/10 of a mile steeply downhill to get to. And the 1/10 of a mile steeply uphill, I'm gonna have to go back and return. Worth it though. Beautiful. That is odd. It was only 1/10 of a mile down from this point to Hen Wallow. That's it, Hen Wallow Falls. But it was at least 4 or 5 miles back up. Strange how that works. But meanwhile, let's continue on. Head back to the Cosby Campground. We'll hit that in about 2 miles. 2.1.
Always love cliffs or shallow caves or rock features, as you can see here. I love the way the bright light and colors contrast with the darker trunks and the shadows.
Finally, we are reaching what we want to see. Campground picnic area 1 mile. That's progress. And that's just telling you, 3.8 miles since the campground. Plus 0.2 of a mile for Hen Wallow Falls. So, on we go. We are going to knock out that last mile, get back to the car, see if by some miracle they left my chest bag on the car.
Here's the last creek that I have to cross and the bridge going over it. I figured that deserved a quick picture.
Okay. Finally, we have reached the next intersection.
Almost there.
Okay, we are indeed coming to the end. So, we just came 4.8 miles. Make that 5 plus with the Hen Wallow Falls. Well, let's head on into the park and to my car.
With the campground closed in the winter, it just looks so forlorn with nobody there.
Well, we come to the end of a long hike. Another job. I was going to say well done, but well, it's done anyway. And look at that. Right where I left it. How about that? People can be downright decent, huh? This is Graybeard saying thank you for joining me on another wonderful Sylvan Reflections adventure in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Please, if you would, click the like, subscribe. It would really help me get greater visibility, more people to see what a gorgeous place this is. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.
If you like this video, please consider clicking the like, subscribe, and notification bell.